Hello, it's a good morning. I thought I will share something interesting. I also have my podcast we call Mighty Radio, hosted by Spotify. I thought I would share something interesting, and that's about this demon king named Surapadman. Okay, now I'll read out from Google one of the descriptions. The Surapadman story is a Hindu legend from the Skanda Purana detailing how the powerful demon king Surapadman, granted immense power by Lord Shiva, terrorized the cosmos until he was defeated by Lord Murugan, Kartikeyan, who turned him into his divine vehicles, a peacock and a rooster, symbolizing the victory of good over evil and the soul's journey to liberation. Okay? Now, I have made another podcast about Shiva, Sati, and Parvati on Mighty Radio. Okay. And this is very much related to our everyday mythology, so to speak. Mythology, as in my story of being and becoming better, or the study of me becoming better, like me and my story, history. So, mythology. So, human beings are always working towards becoming better people, eating food, waking up in the morning, doing our stuff. And every person, when we say I, but when we are personally referring, we say me and you. We don't say I and you. We say I, but it's as well like it's an identity. We can't really place a hand on identity. Me is more accessible. And if you consider me to be matter plus energy composite, okay? And every me is also nature and nurture composite, Prakriti and Purusha. These are mythological references, okay? And in mythology, there's this idea of Ardhanarishwar, which is symbolizing the idea that every person is nature-nurture composite. Yeah? Masculine, feminine, mother-father. But mother-father material gives rise to a person who is also masculine, feminine composite. Because given a body is given rise by mother-father material. Yeah, that way. So every person has these two complementary opposites, represented by the idea of Shiva and Parvati. Okay? And then there's this idea of Samudra Manthan. Samudra Manthan has reference to Parvati healing the Visha or the toxins, toxic positivity, negativity, toxins from fertilizers, for example, or electronic media or social media toxicity of different kinds. Or also, they also say ajirne bhojanam visham. You eat and it's not digested properly, it remains as toxins. So Parvati is said to be healing the toxins so that Shiva can continue the Samudra Manthan. Shiva is also represented by the idea of the mountain, yeah, or the idea of the Sheshnag, the snake around his neck. So when we say Nilakantha, that's also the toxin from the Sur and Asur, or let's just say musical and not musical, or harmony and disharmony. Gods and demons is what they've said it, but if you consider it as white and black, yin and yang makes sense, white and black, yeah. And there is clarity between white and black, or the remaining as contrasting white and black. Our eyes also have rods and cones. Rods distinguish day and light, white and black. Cones distinguish colors. Okay. Now either we are seeing things as white and black, or we're seeing things colorful, and we could get lost in either. Yeah. If you're not seeing things pure white and black, we could go into fight. Or if you're seeing things too colorful, also you're not able to. There's too much information, and you don't know how to discern. You could still be confused. So either way, there is trouble. Unless you have clarity, And from that clarity, you know which is white and black, which is colorful, which color, which frequency. So there is discernment. Unless there is clarity, confusion remains. So that clarity is also represented by the Amrita. From these churning arises Amrita or Devamrita, which is also water, elixir of life. If the water is not good enough, life becomes a little interesting. Yeah, on earth, we are all on earth, and water maintains life. So our body is at least 60, 70%, 80, yeah, around there, 70% water and matter energy, different forms. But life is maintained by water. Our joints get creaky if the fluids in the joints are less. So, elixir of life, water. And the clarity within our system by which to discern white, black, colorful determines how clearly we're able to discern opportunities. Are we in the present moment? Are we in the past? Future? Do we have clarity? Do we don't have? Are we confused? All of those details. So the Samudra Manthan is just talking about everyday churnings. Yeah. Our body faced with the daily grind, so to speak. And we have the idea of the Sri Chakra for a reference. So we have health, wealth, and wisdom according to how is the Samudra Manthan within our own body, between yin and yang, masculine, feminine, complementary opposites. Yeah. Surapadman, in that sense, so if you just distill it down very just simply, you have Shiva Parvati, masculine, feminine, like divine masculine, divine feminine. Yeah. And then you have Ganapati, you have Kartikeyan. You could also see flight of ideas, hallucinations, flight of ideas. And there's also this reference of Ganapati going around his parents' feet. So it's like kind of down, like a rat. Rat is also represented by under the ground. Yeah. And elves, dwarves and elves. So if we say elves are um, taking flight of idea from here, yeah, and dwarves are under the ground. I'm referring to this teleseries called Rings of Power. Okay. So there is two. And then there is Manikantan, the voice within. If there is clarity, then we are Pulipala. Yeah. Um, you go beyond trauma, for example. Somatic experiencing is talking about wake the tiger. So when you have the clarity, Mani Padme, they say. Yeah. When there's clarity, then there is um, tiger is also a reference to voluntary muscles as striated muscles. Smooth muscles are unstriated muscles. Our heart, cardiac muscle, is a fine combination between striated and unstriated, voluntary and involuntary muscles. So whole body is basically a heart. Yeah, a combination, a muscular combination that is between voluntary and involuntary muscles. Striated, like a tiger. And when we have a fine balance between the two, and we have the milk of human kindness, after going through experiencing all of this sur and asur churn in between drama triad, winner triad, and all of that stuff, and you continue to maintain the milk of human kindness such that you can go beyond diseases, even fake diseases. Yeah, where you can discern truth versus false. That's also Pulipala. Yeah, and then so then you would from there to maintain consciousness, clear conscience, and the business of everyday living, which is one of the lessons by Manikantan. Ayyappan story, you would hear about it. One of the uh, somebody asked Manikantan after he returned and gave that tiger's milk and all of that. How did this become possible? How were you able to negotiate with the tiger's family and have them come here? Yeah. Then he says it's all business. Everyday interactions is business, right from birth, depending on how we then interact with people, according to the value somebody has or not, is the drama versus winner triad. Sur interactions, yeah, transactions. And then that's a business of everyday living is given by the nature, quality, the content, the values we exchange, how we live our life, what's the principles by which we live our life, and then what's the principles we connect with other people, how we interact. So it's business of everyday living. And that's the same thing which I had a conversation with the tiger's family. Now we consider that our body didn't just form overnight. Yeah. We each come from our own family trees. Mother's family tree, father's family tree. So it's like two families of tigers. Because everybody has voluntary muscles and involuntary muscles, striated and smooth muscles. Yeah. Masculine and feminine dynasties, male and female dynasties. And maintaining harmony, humanity across boundaries on earth is every human being's Shakti concerns. Everybody has a Shri Chakra, and how we maintain a fine balance between Shakta and Shakti determines if you're having a balanced life or a little lopsided bum. So, Surapadman as a demon king is referring to in the white. If you say Sura as white, there's a problem in the white. You have too much of it, you have toxic positivity, so to speak. Asur, if you're going to say as a demon, um, not necessarily that Asur is bad. Yeah. Or you could also have toxic positivity, toxic negativity. Similarly, if when there's a balance, things are in balance. Otherwise, things are off. There is white and black, yin and yang, day, night. And how much of it makes a difference? Now, everything is medicine, depends on the dose. Everything is poison, depends on the dose. Yeah, when there's a balance, you eat chocolate. It's all really good. Have it too much, and then you would have other experiences, which is not so very healthy. Yeah, you have a problem with maintaining consciousness, and you want to lose conscience, and be imbalanced. Disease is there in all kinds of forms. If you have a problem being healthy, um, it's kind of like an infection or some pain or some discomfort just waiting around the corner for you to have a disease. You like to have the inebriated effect, but don't want the pain, don't want all of that stuff. You have a bad life. If you're too bored from being healthy, there are a lot of opportunities. That's also called a little uncomfortable with having the good things in life. Yeah, that's because you have not employed yourself. Excuse me. Sorry. You've not employed yourself in doing something, in creating something gainful, because that involves pain. You have to go through details. It's uncomfortable. But because you don't have something, you've employed your available energy resources in creating something new, you are uncomfortable and looking for life is too thin. You want pain. You've not employed yourself. That's also Surapadman. You have good, but that goodness is a problem. And I'll read further from the thing. No, excuse me. The reference to Surapadman is he gained his boons. Sorry about all the cough and all stuff. But I need to tell that in relationship with Surapadman. Okay. Now, for a person, now I've been having this a little bit of a cough. Yeah, that didn't seem like a little bit of a cough. But the thing is, um, the slime, mucus, is a response from inflammation. When there is inflammation, signs of inflammation also includes fluids. Yeah. Um, sonar, dolor, rubor, calor, tumor, like swelling, tumor. And then there is functionaless, less functioning. So these are 6 signs. And sore throat relates again with the money content, clarity. If you consider that me as a person is also having the Shiva Parvati conundrum, and Surapadman gained a boon from Lord Shiva. Okay? And he ruled the cosmos, terrorizing gods. You see, Sur is gods and Asur is demons. Then we have toxic positivity. No. One of the positive aspects yeah, light or dark, has gained powers. There is also, I am also complementary with my significant other. Everybody has this, have their own complementary. There's this idea of the heart. Each person is one whole of a heart. Yeah. So I'm my complementary partner. And we're doing our stuff. There is also course creation challenges and many people learning to teach, and then there's more power to you happening. Yeah. So Lord Shiva, we have gained a lot of power and toxic positivity, one of the positive sur, also good, nice stuff, gain lots of power and terrorizing gods, even the positive. Yeah, they're a little too much, having too good. They're just a little too good. Okay. Now, then there's this racial supremacy, supremacy and black supremacy, all of that stuff. But this is happening within a person. Yeah. Each person have their own rainbow. Yeah. And Mahalakshmi is like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You should have figured out the colors and discernment and what this whole rainbow thing is about. And then what is this gold about? And why do we have Mahalakshmi coins? Yeah. Mahalakshmi coins, new stuff, kind of. Yeah. New words, new. You have a goal. Sometimes you need to name the land and what you're doing and what you're making available. It's also called, and then you educate people about what you're making available. So I have original humane intelligence facilitation. So you would say, I'm coining this up. I discovered this pot of gold from discerning several things. Like the end of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold, and then it's like, what do you do with this pot of gold? What do you do with the money you have, or with the resources you have, or the boons you gain, or the blessings you have? Yeah, that's also what you do. How do you invest it? What do you do with what you have? What do you do when you have nothing, and when you have everything? Determines success. What have you? Everything. It determines where you're going in life, how you're doing things, all of that. Yeah. Now, Surapadman and my sore throat. Okay. Toxic positivity, all nice, good, nice stuff. And um, there's this idea of Ashtadigbandhana, which has Yama down, Agni southeast, Nirti southwest, Indra right, yeah, Varuna left, Ishana northeast, Vayu northwest, Kubera top north. Okay. Surapadman takes Indra hostage, kind of, yeah, terrorize Indra. And so there's this thing here. Let me just read it out. Yeah, drunk with power, he conquered the heavens, imprisoned the devas, gods, and established his capital, Veera Mahendrapuri, in the sea, causing immense suffering. Yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay, the thing is, I read that he captures Indra, and so when we talk about when to capture his wife Indrani, yeah, Indrani. Now, if you consider Indra to be sense and sensibilities, yeah, you could say, oh, king of the gods and all of that stuff. But if you don't have your sense and sensibility, if you don't have your common sense and sense good enough to discern, like a sword, being able to discern with distinction, yeah, Indra. And Indrani is that which you see, that which you pay attention to. It's not rule over. It's like Krishna and Arjuna on the chariot. Krishna, according to what his discernment is, led to war. Yeah. And there's this idea of the 7 or 8 horses that Krishna needs to maintain. Otherwise, his sense and sensibilities leads into war, fight with their own cousins. Yeah. That's also the idea. So there's Indra and Indrani. So your sense and sensibilities, and what is that you pay attention to? What are you mindful about? Yeah. So Surapadman takes Indra hostage. Your common sense is like Ravana and what have you, Jatayu and Sita. Jatayu lost one wing, and Sita, common sense, hijacked. Makes sense. So similarly, Surapadman takes Indra hostage and aims to take claim over that which Indra has rule over. Yeah. So that's like saying Shiva. Now I've made this other podcast about Shiva, Sati, and Parvati, and I was thinking Sati went to her father Dashaka's ceremony and got humiliated. And one of the reasons for that is there was already a strife, a certain challenge between Sati and Shiva, because of which that violence happened. Otherwise, if love was good enough, the violence wouldn't have happened. Okay, that's my logic. I've made about a podcast about that. But the thing is, Sati and Shiva, Sati's second reincarnation is said to be Parvati. Yeah. And Parvati, out of penance of over more than 100 years, something, yeah, so many years, then gets married to Shiva and then goes sits in the Himalayas. Again, social distancing. Yeah. So the story continues, which means the wounds haven't healed. Second avatar again back in the Himalayas. So social distancing managed and in the ice top. Yeah. So over time, I discovered as I've been healing. I'm a health facilitator. So I also heal the fabric of time space. 2 years of the pandemic, I discovered that our human body is capable of turning things around. Disease conditions, inflammation, for example. And one of the things I encountered quite some time back is a sentence, won't you melt a little? Okay. That made sense over time when I read about mythology and I was thinking Parvati went and sat on the Himalayas, yeah, got married and social distancing. So I was saying that won't you melt a little made sense. So every human being, we are kind of like descendants from our own ancestors. The whole Adam and Eve, Shiva Sati, the Dev Amrita. So when you say Dev Amrita, it is actually Dev and Amrita. uh, the idea of the movie Brahmastra is talking about Dev and Amrita, how there was a little big bang between them. And then putting them together is again, that's like Isis and Osiris having a problem and Loki trying to bring them together to heal the fabric of time space, restore concerns since the Big Bang. So don't ask which Big Bang. Yeah, it's kind of like bring them together, keep matter and energy together, like me. Otherwise, we are all broken people, otherwise, kind of. Yeah. So when we say me, we got to keeping me together, matter and energy together. Otherwise, we become energy people or matter people. When we say masculine and feminine, and the heart, broken heart is basically me more important, matter more important than energy, object more important than subject. Yeah, clashes between the titans. You say no, 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 no. Titan is also Titan clock. No, fabric of time, space, timelines, all that fine. We have our itinerary and our when we can meet things on our timeline for that day, we are having more success. Sometimes they say you're able to successfully now check 3 things on the timeline, you're still having a good day. So how much of tension are we facing? Basically, between Surya and Asura. I'm sorry, I've got my little sniffles, but I'm talking about the Surapadman and relationship with Shiva. Yeah. So there's also this idea of Shiva is Rudra and Shiva, kind of. There's a dark and light side. Just like if you say Shakta has Shiva and Rudra side, and Shakti has Sandhya Chaya. Same thing, same idea, light and dark. Um, Day also has sunrise, sunset, but you get the idea, light and dark. And there's also light and heavy, visible, invisible. Yeah. So it's, self, light self and shadow self, visible, invisible. And in the shadow self could be things we know or don't know about, including blind spots and things that work, didn't work. Yeah. So each person have the responsibility of cleaning the Visha. Otherwise, the Vishaya becomes a little distracted. Yeah, we are talking one thing and we have artificial intelligence, hallucinations. You're talking about a topic we don't really know what we're talking about, and we have lots of hallucinations. Surapadman, demon, um, conquered cosmos. That's like saying the universe. A common sense gone off. Indra captured and Indrani, the world that we like to see taken care of. Otherwise, Krishna goes and goes into war uh, because his sense and sensibilities is off, and then goes and fights cousins. Surapadman and Kartikeyan, yeah, that's also like a brain. When the common sense is all fine, then um, we kind of have a discernment that everything that is positive is not necessarily positive. There could be Visha in it. Yeah, and everything that's bad is not necessarily all bad. There could be other than that too. Once that discernment is there, Kartikeyan Murugan transforms Surapadman into his peacock and rooster. Now, peacock is also having many eyes. Yeah. And rooster is also saying, good morning. So to have a happy morning, every morning being a good morning, and every moment being a good morning, you need to have a good, nice sense of your different demons in the Suranasur, not just demons. Deviations or too much or having more that we have concerns with having just enough versus not. We don't know what is just enough. We even have landfills and we have satellites also in outer space from needing to be cleaning. Yeah, like we are like adolescents. Don't know to take care of our own rooms and we litter everything and expect somebody to pick up after us. Yeah. So when that happens, clarity is missing a little bit. Yeah. And then we have common sense concerns, we have disease concerns, Shri Chakra concerns, health, wealth, wisdom concerns, and also community concerns. Health, wealth, wisdom, and community concerns. Relationship challenges, seven cardinal sins. Our creativity could is a little lackluster. Original creations, artificial intelligence, hallucinations. What I mean by artificial is you're more dependent on things, but don't really know how much of things and how much of matter, how much of energy. You don't know how to balance it. Me concerns, and also you concerns. Why to be in existence? Why? Oh, I owe you something. A farmer also brings food to a table. So we owe something to somebody or the other. And then what are we doing such that they are having the benefits from what we are doing, which is also what insurance is about. When you're paying the premium, when you're paying your taxes, you're actually making sure that the benefits from the taxes, from the what the insurance companies utilizing the premium for, reaches those people who may not be able to pay as much premium or have those job opportunities, such as we have, by which to um, it balances. They are making food available, and we can do things such that their life is becoming better. That is paying back the runa, the O. Why to be in existence? How? What do you owe everybody, and what are you doing to repay the O? What you owe others? And then U is like the container you have, your body having so much percentage of water, you as a container versus me as a container. What makes me, me and you? So why you? When a relationship with you, our body is also basically you, because we also owe our body food. Otherwise, we don't have energy to function as much. And so we have a me, matter and energy, and we also owe you, not just me, but everybody who has a body that's human, that's formed from father's material, meeting mother's material, which is where nature and nurture. Yeah. And the relationship with my relationship with me and my relationship with you, also all you, also determines our business of everyday living. Yeah. Otherwise, we have a winner triad, me versus you. Yeah, who's going to win? If you're winning over somebody else, what goes around comes around. You're basically dishonoring your own relationship because the me and you are The world is several levels of reflections of who we are with ourselves, how we see ourselves, and then how we reflect with people, how we interact with people. The money content. We have Visha or we have clarity. Yeah. And we know the subject or we don't. So we have Visha or we have Vishaya. No. Depending on the Visha and the Vishaya is the clarity of the subject. Yeah. Otherwise, we have life or something like it. There's also a movie called Life or something like it. It's worth watching. Yeah. No. I'm sorry, we're leaking. Okay. Excuse me. Now, having said that, Surapadman, your relationship, you need to check with your Lord Shiva. Yeah. Your life and living, which is why um, in this Lalita Sahasranam, Lalita temples, yeah, there is this Durga, Kalima, yeah, with her feet on Shiva. Because if Shiva's creativity is not very good, and you're having Surapadman, Shiva granting boon to Surapadman, yeah, and then lord over your common sense, then Shiva needs to be taken care of. Yeah, because what is getting created and what's the power and what kind of creatives are coming up in our own ability to do things. Yeah, so otherwise there's an imbalance between what do you say, Guru Shishya? No, let's just say matter and energy, your own complementary partner, where the female becomes less important than the male. We have matriarchal society versus patriarchal society. Imbalance there, not happening. Yeah. So me and matter and energy both being equal is important. That's why it's called Ekadashi, 11. If that balance is not there, the train is not running on parallel tracks. Yeah. Um, and then train station, what you're teaching needs a little more improvement. You could have power dynamics. When you say more power to you, you could have power dynamics, and then there's pow. Yeah. What is necessary is wow. Yeah. Wow, how did that happen? For that to happen, the power needs to be digested, positive, negative, all balanced, spirituality, all balanced. So we're having balanced equations. And then from there, what is created is more likely to be wow. It would be more likely musical versus domination over the market. That's talking a lot about needs improvement. Yeah. You're having Surapadman, and I'm having a sore throat. From how many people are also working with this Surapadman? Also, the Shiva and Parvati is also like the, what do you say, primary respiration and secondary respiration. From the mother's womb, there's a certain respiration that keeps the baby alive or growing in the mother's womb. That, in my method of healthcare, biodynamic method of healthcare, it's called primary respiration. Once a baby is born outside, the lungs start functioning. That we call as secondary respiration. Yeah. Even after coming out of the mother's womb, the primary respiration doesn't stop. It's called the breath of life. Yeah. And then there's a lung respiration. So yoga is also a fine balance between primary and secondary respiration. And if there is an imbalance, yeah, and the primary respiration also could have Visha. Secondary respiration also could have Visha. You could have asthma, for example, lung concerns. Primary respiration is other kinds of different. The soul entanglements. Yeah, from past life, all kinds of stuff. So um, you're having a lot of things in there. And then you could go into mythological concerns, growing up, what kind of a person you're becoming. When you're having that balance fine enough, the benefits, what you learned in your past lifetimes becomes over time available this lifetime without it obstructing this lifetime or what you're doing or how you're making things available. Otherwise, you're having a demon, a free radical from some other time, and then you're a little too much. That's also called soul not healed. Yeah, they're saying function from your soul. And if you don't really know that the soul has so many other diseases, you are trouble on 2 feet. which is why people need to come for sessions with me, online, on-table therapy sessions. There comes a fine balance, wounds between in the body, mind, spirit, conscience, consciousness, soul, intellect, spirit, conscience, consciousness, what have you. Things that you know that you don't know, there begins to have more clarity. Samudra Manthan, clarity comes. Yeah. So, Visha Chikitsa, Tattva Shuddhi, all of that stuff. Without using any instruments or any medicines or chanting or crystals or any of that stuff. Just a medicine intelligence touch. Yeah. Um, medicine intelligence touch comes from the field of biodynamics. When it becomes there are also mythological references. So body intelligence comes to medicine intelligence. It becomes even more finer and refined, where it's not just human body intelligence, but it is person specific. Yeah, so that's what I'd make available. So my work is like Mother Mary, yeah, immaculately resurrect the light of love, life, enthusiasm for life, and all of that stuff. So that's my kind of work. Yeah, that's my work. Maelstrom intelligence. And then when you have the light of life and love all rekindled, then life shows up. It's like Nijavatori Sodari Deepa. You have the light of truth. And then when you're walking, you're not seeing doomsday. Everything is not doomsday. It's an opportunity. Good things, bad things. It's more like life as rice and death as sauce. You add sauce to rice and then eat. You see them with equal respect and honor and dignity. And then Yama is also called death. You have the benefits of yoga from Yama and Niyama, so to speak. Rice is formed from rice going through metabolic processes, yeah, and then emerges as rice. So it's also called me. In Japanese thought lines, it's called Jimmy. Me as in MI, but it's also Mission Impossible. But no, me is as in rice. Or the clarity of water that then forms rice. You can't just, you don't chew rice when you cook it. The water then informs the rice in such a manner that when you eat rice, it talks about how was it cooked? What was the water? What's the quality of water? What's the quality of the person who made the water or the rice? A body is also so much percentage water. And when there is clarity in our being, that's also called kaiguna. According to the clarity you have, and then when you're cooking something, that kaiguna, the quality of your person, then shows up in what you make. So different references here. So what's the kind of life you're making? What are you cooking? What are you creating? Also gets seen in the Samudra Manthan, your daily chants. So that's also Shrikanda conscience. Yeah, like root parasite, we didn't just drop out of the sky. Yeah, we are all dependent as a baby, dependent on mother in the mother's womb, and once outside, somebody needs to take care of us. And if the care is well enough, only we'll grow. Otherwise, you're surviving life. Yeah, if there has been some reason to continue being alive, then you're surviving. And then coming to living life requires some additional values. And then from living life to come to thriving in life, you need certain other values over and above living. Otherwise, you're surviving life. So all of these thought lines then forms Sri Gandha when you are thriving. And how do you function when you have nothing and when you have everything? And how you add value to people, for yourself, people around you, future generations, and their generations, and their generations, by what you're doing right now. So when they say karmanyavadi karaste, ma phaleshu kadachana. So what you're doing right now benefits so many levels of people. That's also the dot of Sri Chakra. Yeah. When the Kundalini is said to be the one dimension, Sri Chakra is said to be the four dimension. Yeah. So when you think of that way, the Kundalini is representing the snake, and snakes are said to be very finely connected with earth. They don't have to have ears all over the body. The skin can feel. So when your skin is sensitive enough to be able to recognize what's happening inside you and outside you. Then you're all ears, all eyes, all nose, all taste, all feeling, all thinking, yeah, and in touch with nothing and everything. So it's a different form of yoga. Shrigandha, yeah, root parasite, and then how you take support of different things, what is available, best use of available resources, and then what you create, and then how you add value. So Shrigandha thought lines. I hope this is of value to you. Thank you so much for joining me. Good day.